Vanguard Live. I'm Dablola Ogunshaki, and this morning we'll be reviewing the front pages of the dailies and analyzing them. And funny enough, it seems all the stories on the front pages that are the same. Starting with the Wike's pictures and their meeting, in London and the PDP crisis. But of course, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies, and I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard this morning is leading with 2023. Obasanjo, Wike, Obi, Duke, others meet in London. As Atiku finally meets Wike in London, Atiku to aides and associates stopped deriding Wike. Others. Tinubu's meeting with Rivers governor, sign of desperation. That's according to ex-VP's camp, says reconciliation still in progress. We are yet to receive reconciliation committee reports, that's according to BOT chair. Why Atiku BOT members should pacify Wike? That's coming from Nazif, that's the PDP chieftain. PDP crisis, major albatross on Atiku's chances. That's according to Adeyeye Swagger boss. You can see that story on page 5, and there's a picture of their meeting in London. And of course, there's Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Governor Amadu Fintiri of Adamawa State, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State, and Governor Okezie Pazu of Abia State after a meeting in London yesterday. Now, on page 3, we have military kills Sabisa Forest ISWAP commander Uzaifa and 37 others. How to revive Nigeria's steel industry. That's coming from Naseni EVC. You can see that on page 6. On page 6 still, we have a federal government defends foreign borrowings with infrastructure projects. Federal government warns Nigeria against traveling to northern Cyprus, and you can see that story on page 3. Stories above on page 2, we have Castina bandits kidnap commuters, some feared killed. On page 3, police take over NNPP secretariat in Borno, arrest their party leader. And on page 6, we have Nigerians' low public investment in education sector will imperil 2030 global goal. United Nations wants. Still on page 6, 2023 campaign on issues, shun aid speech. Jonathan Sambo tax candidates and parties. Lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, on page 19, we have a Vanguard MSME Summit. Federal government apps on partnership for competitiveness. And that's all we have. From there, we'll move straight to the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with United Kingdom peace meetings. Article 6, Wike support. Obasanjo pushes Obi's agenda. Rivers governors tables demand. Wants Atiku's commitment in writing ahead of agreements. Wike's men favor alliance with Tinubu, says Obi lacks strong structure. APC presidential aspirants may meet over Tinubu Shatima tickets. And we also have the 2 photo stories on the Punch of their meeting. Now, on page 7, we have fire shake can't remain Ekiti PDP's sole commander. That's according to State Publicity Secretary. Ogun woke up girl sells baby for 600,000 naira. You can see that on page 5. Lagos Ibadan traffic, motorists, passengers lament early experience. Now, stories above. On page 19, we have power crisis. Disco's debt to Gencos eats at 2 trillion naira. On page 29, we have troops intercepted 3.7 billion naira stolen crude oil that's coming from DHQ. Lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have gunmen attacked 527 local governments, thousands killed, kidnapped, and that's according to reports. Away from that, we'll move to The Nation. The Nation this morning is leading with Oshibajo, Lawal, Amechi, 19 others to unite for Tinubu. Ex-APC presidential aspirant to meet in Abuja next week. You can see that on the front page of The Nation, and it continues on page 28. 2023, Atiku OBO talks with Wike in London. Obasanjo seeks the support for Labour Party candidates. UN urged Nigeria to raise education vote by 13%. Woman sells a 3-week-old baby for 600,000 in Ogun. and Lagos divert traffic. And the stories above, we have Oyo begins distribution of 1 billion naira loans to entrepreneurs. Banks, telcos compete for financial service, says CBN. And lastly, on the nation, we have Akeredolu upgrades monarchs. You can see that on page 6. Away from the nation, we move to The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper this morning is leading with Wike's United Kingdom meeting with Obasanjo, Obi, Atiku. It is a 2023 puzzle. PDP confident of amicable reconciliation. Atiku orders Lamido orders to hold verbal warfare over Wike. And strategic meeting to unite Obasanjo, Amici, other APC presidential aspirants in the works. You can see that on page 6. And we have a photo story here on the front page. It says, read the big story on pages 4 and 5. The writer says, states and theories, it shows of severe water shortage, struggle for revival. And stories above, we have NNPP kicks as police seal Bono office ahead inauguration by Kwankwaso. You can see that on page 3. Avoid and Northern Cyprus, where about 20 Nigerians have been killed. Federal government warns. Buhari must apologize for poor governance, says a Middle Belt group. You can see that on page 27. And lastly, on the front page of The Guardian, we have Benin monarch cautions against diversion of Benin artifacts. And you can see that on page 20 of The Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break as we analyze the stories with our guest. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Jamila Okunshaki. And joining me this morning to analyze the front pages of the dailies is Mr. Mayowa Odudare. He's the publisher of Global Financial Digest. Good morning, Mr. Mayowa.
Good morning, I'm glad to have you this morning.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Now let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies. Of course, all the papers are leading with, the story of Obasanjo, Wike, and others meeting in London, and also of course, if you've been following up with the PDP crisis, you would have seen what is going on with Wike and Atiku. Wike's demands for peace, and other members of PDP, their welfare, they're all exchange of words. But of course, this meeting with Obasanjo and some others in London, it has really caused some exchange between them, and we have people talking. But what do you think about their meeting and the things going on in PDP?
Thank you very much. When you look at it generally, it's a season of politicking, and the campaign will start by 20th of next month. So we are seeing what you are actually witnessing is horse trading in politics, and we happen to be at the center of it all, and it's a beautiful bride to behold, to approach, to woo by all comers, whether APC, Labour Party, even its own party, PDP. We are talking about over 1 million votes coming from Rivers State into the kitchen. So it's very attractive to see people milling around Wike. But like I said here on this platform some weeks ago, at the end of the day, I don't see Wike leaving PDP. I don't see him not working for PDP because UK influence is too dead for PDP president candidate to lose. So I expect to do all it takes. And like I recommended last time too, I actually expect Atiku to have gone face to face to meet with General and send a mystery to him. And that's why we are going to, at the end of the day, we is going to work for PDP. It's going to reconcile because they are going to make some So that's what Australia is about. Have to be conditions and compromise and condition met and the rest and back to stay. So it's not unusual really. It's a bit of right to be moved by anybody. So it's not unusual movement in political scene.
But don't you think, PDP might have to go ahead without Wike? Because according to them, the campaign, is supposed to start soon, and, Wike is not, really, coming down to the ground and, still requesting for Ayu's resignation.
The way I look at it, the cost of leaving Wike behind is too huge for PDP to handle, really. Wike is very central to. Don't forget that today he has about 3 of the governors from PDP rooting for him. The Abia governor, the Oyo governor, and the Benue governor. And so that's four governors out of the equation for PDP. So for me, it is also sure that the PDP will bend backward to please Wike, regardless of whatever the condition they may be. If they need to sacrifice the chairman, they will do it. Because it's a too costly shock of vote to lose for them.
But Mr. Oludare,
they are trying to undermine people. Yeah.
Don't you think if they wanted to, sacrifice the chairman, they would have done that since, even way before this argument got heated?
It takes time for this to materialize. Initially they thought they can undermine Shuki by actually approaching some good leaders in the River State. But I'm sure along the line when they weigh the options and they are seeing the manner is fraternizing with the APC and Labour, I think the common sense to them is that, hey, whether you like it or not, yes, they will soon lose relevance. But as of today, you see where with the power of the state governor, you see how in his group, the governors from Oyo, from Abia, from Benue, and Ekiti, former governor, even although current government is in his camp. So these are a chunk of votes. Either you like it or not, in politics, don't discontinuous, 10 votes. It matters a lot. So for me, it's part of the, it's part of the grandstand initially, but eventually, I was happy people be able to bend backward to meet some of the, meet some of the conditions. Of course, it may meet some conditions that eventually they will get to see if they eventually win the election. But right now, it's very essential for them to do that, and I'm sure they are going to get to that point. I'm going to get to compromise and we can eventually go back to his party, because that is safer in PDP than elsewhere. That's where I look at it.
But in the middle of this, Atiku and Wike's frosty relationship, the Rivers governor and his allies met with Bola Tinubu. That's the APC's presidential candidates recently this week. And of course, these rumors are coming about. You are saying you're not seeing Wike moving, to APC. What are your reasons for saying that? I mean, this is politics, and we see them moving all the time.
Yeah, this is politics. But when you look at if Wike has a lot to lose if he leaves PDP today. Don't forget he singularly nominated the PDP governorship candidate in the university. And that's his own candidate. Would he sacrifice that one? Because if he won't sacrifice his place, I don't forget he cannot move to APC and get the kind of leverage he has in PDP in the River State. So for me, he equally has a lot to lose at the end of the day if he's not able to reach an agreement with his political party. And don't forget that too, if he move to the APC today, he will be a newcomer. And he has a former governor of the state, that's Amishi to contend with in the APC. Don't forget APC in the state is in Tata too. They are in various versions. So the option for him is very narrow. That's my own reading of the situation. The option for Wike is very narrow. If he can't work with APC, knowing fully where he has criticized them in time past, he has talked down on the president and has called the party the name, has made so much talk about APC. And what would APC offer him? That's the question. He can't offer him governorship of the state, which is under PDP. So these are my own reading of the situation. Eventually, I see him mellowing down after he has received some assurance here and there, and work with his party. That's the way I look at it. That's my own reading. I may be wrong, but that's the way I look at it.
All right. Recall that Lamido Adine, Sule Lamido Adine meet in an interview, a television interview, alleged that Wike, was acting like an emperor. He was giving, an impression that the people of the states, were subservient to his whims and could vote as, Wike direct in 2023. But now, after, the meeting with Atiku, Wike and Atiku has won his aid and close associates and all party stakeholder against making entrances capable of jeopardizing the ongoing peace progress. So do you think this warning coming from Atiku to those people having this war of words with Wike, do you think this is like a peace progress, like he said?
Yeah, if you look at the whole scenario, Atiku is a man on the hot seat. He's a man that has nothing to lose in this scenario. So he need to take charge. He has not taken charge before. He was still darling and thinking probably could undermine and go around it and the rest. But like I said, when they weigh the option, like for example, the gas government I was talking, former gas government, that's Sule Lamido. What was his standing in the PDP in Jigawa, for example? He was not able to deliver the state to his party. His fortune is didn't do in Jigawa. So when you are counting your egg in politics, you weigh the option. Who are the people who can help to mobilize sufficient votes that can push you towards winning the election? And I'm sure the Atiku strategists have weighed all these things. And the Sule Lamido doesn't have anything to lose in this election. So his utterance is useless. It's not helping their candidate, whatever it is. So yes, the politics is meant to make some blah blah here and there. But when you sit down, analyze the situation, and you look at the cost and benefit, then you have to know that peace is essential and it's very fundamental to the election. And if they want to really want to win this election, I think that's the part what Atiku is doing now. That's why he particularly had to flew to London to meet GPP on his own. Initially was depending on committee and the rest. But that will not accelerate the discussion. That's why he had to go by himself, knowing fully well that the stake is high and he has a lot to lose if he don't step in and douse the tension.
But many Nigerians have, really come up with reasons why, Wike might, be unsettling the agenda, like they said that, maybe because, he wanted Ayugan, or because, he just wanted, to become the vice president and different things. But, of course, the national publicity secretary of different, of course, the PDP and chieftain of the ruling APC, that's Chief Eze Chukwuemeka, Fridays gave reasons and said it's possible that Wike is trying to negotiate for 2027 presidential tickets. What do you think about these allegations or the talks?
Yes, in politics, anything is possible, really. But don't forget that Wike is giving government by May 29, 2023. And by then, his relevance would have been whittled down, because it will no longer control the instrument of power. But again, you have to look at his antecedent in PDP. When Atiku Abubakar and the rest flew to APC, joined the APC 2015, it was Wike that was funding a party. It was Wike that stood his ground to protect the party. Unfortunately, you can look at Wike and examine his weakness. No doubt about it. He talks anyhow. He abused people anyhow. But again, in politics, people have some distance, so he needs to protect his own political future as well. And that's the game I think he's playing now. That's why he put the person who he can trust who will succeed him in power in university, and that's a big tip for him. And that in the PDP, and he equally had to negotiate his future in the PDP, knowing that he has invested in PDP all this year. So it is not out of place for him to negotiate for him. I'm still interested in power. I'm still interested in becoming something in the party. If he's not even the president, he can be vice president. So politics is about power. So there's no other place for him to negotiate institution in the party. For whatever he can do to grab whatever option he can do to that, and this is the only time he has to do that, to negotiate and to get something like this, to get some commitment, ministerial appointments, and all the rest. Of course, he cannot get VP now, but he can get something for his own group so that he can feel comfortable that yes, he has a leverage.
Nigerians have been talking about, public debt. They've been complaining, and of course, we've had people criticizing the government. But of course, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, yesterday said that the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari, that they've justified their foreign borrowings with construction of infrastructure projects across the country compared to previous administration. He said they delivered more than 1,800 kilometers of road across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country so far. He added that it was determined to complete all ongoing projects before the expiration of its tenure in May next year. What do you think about his justification of these public debts?
Yeah, Fajala can be right. Yes, Fajala is right, saying yes, they build infrastructure, invested in rail line, roads, construction, airport modernization, and the rest. Yeah, those are things are good and necessary for development of this country. But we need to weigh the cost. We need to weigh the cost to the economy, to the standard of living of people today. The point is not about borrowing. I've said that. Yes, there's something totally wrong in borrowing by government, by individuals, by corporate organizations, and the rest. But what are you paying for? And what is the cost of borrowing to your economy? And how your capacity to finance, to repay your loan is very essential. Like I've given a scenario in this problem as well. It's like a man who is earning 100,000 naira salary a month and borrowing millions of naira to build houses, to buy land, to do that kind of thing. It's not this. Don't forget, most of these projects they are being embarked on, they are not self-generating. They're not producing revenue for the government, so to say. So that you can say, okay, they are investing in infrastructure that can produce that can repay the loan. So this road they are talking about is not generating revenue for the government. This road is not generating revenue for the government and the rest. So we don't have a source of paying back the loan. And the money buy all these things at the end of the day. And by the time he was even servicing the debt to the bank, his salary is not enough to pay back to service the debt. So he has still have to borrow more. If the man died tomorrow, the children will inherit a body. They will let you no choice but to sell all those assets to pay the loan and go back to nothing. That is what it is. For example, if China moving against Nigeria today, they will take over the railway to manage it. And the private sector take over the railway. It's not as safety as government running it at subsidized rate. So the impact on the economy will be so huge. Today, the government, if they want to borrow, it's good to borrow. But what government should have done is to protect our economic installation. People are stealing our today. That's why we are not earning enough. And government should work on that area. That's the area they need to work on to ensure that we are earning enough to service our debt and so that can reduce our borrowing. That's what they are not doing. And because probably they don't have the capacity to do that. So the borrowing and the infrastructure was just to make good, to make themselves good that they are working. When the reasons of it, what they ought to do is to build an economy that can withstand any shock, which they are not doing. So they are not building on what.
But Mr. Mayo, we have the governors like Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. He said there was need for synergy between the federal government and the highways. Of course, he appreciated the federal government that it's a good move, to repair these roads and make roads available for the citizens. But the question is this enough?
That is what I'm saying. It's not enough. It's not enough to build roads. They can build road, people can use road and the rest. But what is the cost to their economy? What is the cost to their standard of living? If people are going to drive for this, for example, Lagos Ibadan Express Road and they are having smooth road and you have to toll the place and you cannot pay the toll. And there are going to be a reduced patronage of this facility because people cannot muster the resources to patronize this asset. So what's the essence of doing it? Is it just for architectural? That's what we are talking about. Government should do more to deepen the economy. That's what people need. Fund education, fund health sector. These are where you can touch life. Government is about people. When you invest in people, invest in health, invest in education. People, for example, our children are out of school. Many people are out of school. Many students are out of school today in this country. And we are talking about manpower development. We're talking about a growing economy. You know, these are things that we're going to see the effect tomorrow. A responsible government develop education, develop health. You know, and these are things that will build infrastructure eventually. So the government is misplacing priority in borrowing so that because that's what people will see and think they are working. But in actual fact, they are not doing anything because they are not investing in the priority area of the economy. They are not investing in facility that can generate money resource for the government to keep going. Government is borrowing to pay salary today because they are not protecting the oil sector. They're not protecting they're not creating jobs. They're not protecting the industry. There's no dollar for industry to import raw material. They will close down. There won't be job, and there will be more crisis at our hand. That's exactly what we are talking about. It's not enough for them to tell us that they are building road, they are doing this, they are doing that. They need to do more so that we can have a balanced economy that people will be happy about.
Talking about investment and no investment in other things, the United Nations, that's the UN, has warned if Nigeria's current low public investments in the education sector remains the same, it is unlikely that it will not achieve the SDG, that's a Sustainable Development Goals, fourth global agenda for universal, inclusive, and equitable basic education for all school-age children by 2030. What do you think about this warning to the federal government?
It's a timely warning to me. If you look at it across board, all the universities the government universities are on strike, so people are not in school. So those who are supposed to graduate this year cannot graduate now. And that's a good setback for the country. Don't forget too, even in that all the schools are closed down because of security, and across the northern part of the country because of the security in schools. Many in Sabana, for example, there has not been students going to school in last 2 or 1 year. No, that's a setback for the country, and that's the what we are talking about. If you are not educating our people, who will manage the economy tomorrow? Who are we training to take over from us? Who are we training to take over from the private sector in the public sector? Most of our manpower today are migrating to Canada, to Australia, to US, to UK, and the rest. So who are left behind to manage the economy? Who are left behind to drive the growth in this country? These are the issues that the government should be addressing, which they are not doing. That's what we are saying. Children are out of school across the nations, across the nation because of insecurity. And if they are not tackling this, and even look at why they are also striking, because government cannot gather enough resources to fund the university education. So how do we grow? Education is a bedrock today of any economy in China, in US, in UK, and advanced countries. Because when you train your populace, they are the one who will help the country to grow through innovations, through creation of jobs, through establishment of factories and the rest. So are going to drive the economic force in the country. The talk of oil industry, you are going to train your people who are going to get manpower. That means you are going to import people, expert to manage that sector and taking out of the country scarce resources. So these are issues that the government ought to have been doing. So that's exactly so. The warning is timely, and the government can still redeem its image. It can still sit back and re-examine the whole issue. How can we tackle insecurity so that children can go back to school? How can we resolve the ASU and government crisis so that people can go to universities and be to learn? How can we fund this education properly so that they can have the equipment, they have enough lecturers that can teach our children so that tomorrow our factory, our industry, our private sector, our government can have adequate and competent manpower to drive the economy.
All right, I think the good news is that the National Association of Academic Technologists, they've suspended their nationwide strike for 3 months. I would have liked us to talk about that, but of course our time is fast spent. So let's move straight to Mr. and Mrs. So the first person speaking this morning is Mrs. She says. She says, how do I look, darling? I want the world to know that my husband is taking good care of me. And Mr. replied, I will advise you to take it easy. Your friends are making passes at me.
That's right. That is just one thing. Hey, you have competition outside, so take it easy. Don't create the discussing house and don't too much show off. The man is wise.
Very, very wise. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very, very wise. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayowa Ludari, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me today.
Yes.
Have a lovely day.
Yes, and this is a publisher Global Financial Digest. It just analyzed some of the stories on the front pages with us. Now, to get more of our top stories, of course, you can follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. And of course, to get more stories, things trending around the world and in Nigeria, visit our website, www.vanguardngr.com. I'm Damnola Akushaki, and today is Friday. And of course, we have many people who say, thank God it's Friday. So please enjoy your weekend. But make sure you start washing your hands now that we have the monkeypox virus in Nigeria and across Africa. So please protect yourself, enjoy yourself, and also protect yourself. That's the safe word.